Hello, dreamers, and welcome back to the Pioneer Dream Studios. This is the Dreamers Life podcast. Today, our conversation is cashing in on cachet. If you don't know what cachet is, you will in a few minutes. If you do know what cachet is, chances are someone else believes it means something completely different. This is a really fun conversation, and we're so glad to have it with you. Let's get started.
This podcast is a presentation of Pioneer Dream, celebrating 30 years of moving stories for our corporate, nonprofit, and entertainment partners.
Dreamers, what is up? And welcome back to the Dreamers Life podcast. I am joined, as always, by Ann Jeanette. Ann Jeanette, hello to everybody.
Hello, everybody.
We are thrilled to be here, and we have a great podcast ahead of us, and it's a full-fledged back to school, back to life week. You just came from where?
Yes, I just came from my first entrance, really, into back to school at Central Middle School.
Yeah.
So we'd done a back to school night where the parents go in.
Oh, yeah, we did.
And you go through all the classes. I like it. It's pretty fun. But I hadn't been on campus when all the students were there. So I went for a parent support group meeting and got attacked in a good way by all of my little student friends from our Dreamers Club. It was sweet. So I was late to get here. Sorry.
Our daughter is just living an alternate universe.
She is.
Like the whole thing of, first of all, I don't know if we did, I can't ever remember any back to school thing in middle school for sure. So I know my parents.
Yeah.
I don't think my parents ever set foot in Madison Middle School.
Well, I
They
just
would
don't
never
think
had
they
a
did
reason.
stuff like that in middle school.
Yeah.
When by the time you got in middle school, when you grew up in our generation, you were thrown to the wolves. It was like, I'm sorry.
And then in elementary, anytime my parents would darken the halls of an elementary school, I just was in full panic mode because it was never a good reason.
Because you were in trouble. You're not saying your parents didn't visit the school. You're saying they visited for different reasons.
The idea of my parents talking to one of my teachers just would strike fear in me.
Oh, that is so funny.
True trepidation.
Yes.
And she just can't get enough of any of it. So she loves her teachers. Her teachers love her.
Yeah.
She loves us being in the school. The school loves us being with her. It's just the whole thing is sickening. It's not healthy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
We ran into my brother and quick brag moment. I'll just do it really fast.
All right.
So she ran she's been in student council for 3 years, and we're proud of her for being a leader. They don't really do much. They plan a couple of activities.
Really, what
and
that
parties.
is code for is volunteering for stuff. So they have to be at every little event.
They have to do service hours, which is great. Good experience. But anyway, she decided to run for student body president.
Yes.
And they really just write a thing and then the kids vote for them. It's not a big campaign or anything, but she won. And so she's, we've been calling her Madam President since last night, but that'll be over today. You still have to clean your room, Madam President, is what I said.
It was funny though. So they don't do any, the campaign is a day long.
Yeah.
So you just announce, I would like to be president. And then they release a paragraph for those people running for president or vice president or secretary or whatever.
Yeah. And it was well written.
It was well written, but it took a weekend because it started out as 1,200 words and then the slot on the paper was like 3 lines.
Yeah.
They want you to handwrite your paragraph.
Yeah, exactly. It was
and they give you like 3 or 4 lines and she had written 1,200 words. And I was like, okay, we're going to have to pare this down.
So paring it down. But like my brother said, we ran into me. He goes, an Evangeline is like student class council president now? I said, yeah. He goes, what was going on with our childhood? I was like, I don't know. She's living some Disney version of it.
It never even occurred to me. Like, that was never a thought like, hey, do you want to run for office? Just run. Yes, I would like to run away.
It was for me, but I ran and lost.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was great. It was good to be back and see everybody. It was a reminder of this other world that we've been gone from for a few months. So it was cool. But I'm sorry that I was late. I still do care about the podcast.
Very fortunate because, we just... despite all the challenges our state has with education, which it has more than a few.
So many. But
we happen to live in a really great district and have amazing teachers and administrators and all that stuff. So I know that that the district is struggling or the city is struggling at places, but we don't see it. And we are pretty well-rounded in our experience. But man, we have it's amazing how good everybody
Actually,
is.
just met a new couple. I think they have a 7th grader. They just moved here from Colorado.
Okay.
And I don't know their work situation, but they were just looking for places that they felt like would be good for their kids. They were ready for a change. And so they moved here, and I said, why did you guys move here? And normally it'll be like, oh, for work or whatever. And they said, for the schools.
Oh,
and I was like,
wow.
okay, yeah. So they considered it, visited Bartlesville a few times. So that's
They probably
pretty
heard
amazing.
that we have a Dreamers Club in Central Middle School. And
Oh,
thought,
that's it. Yeah. Come to Dreamers Club. I did do some recruiting on my way
That's
when
funny.
I saw all my little friends. I was like, make sure you sign up for Dreamers Club. They're like, oh, yeah, we're on it. So anyway.
So that's what's going on with us kids. And
there you go. Now you're caught up.
Yeah. It's funny because you generally don't know what we're going to talk about on the podcast and stuff till you get here. And
You mean me? I thought you were talking to the audience. Of course they don't know.
But
well, they maybe
we
see the title.
we do that so that the conversation stays,
Yeah,
fresh.
you don't want
and
to be thinking about
You don't want
it.
to be rehearsing things like I do.
Oh, stop. You do
But
not.
what's ironic about that is you are generally the impetus for every conversation topic
What?
we have in some form or another. And almost always it starts with some conversation that you and I have had. So you will say something
yeah.
and it'll spark some thoughts in my brilliant little mechanist
well, the way
mind.
it works is, since I'm an extrovert, is I will say what I'm thinking, and then you will listen to what I say, and then you will think on it.
Yes.
Right?
That's a little bit like
Yeah.
what it is.
I actually say the words. You're working on that.
So a couple of weeks ago, you had been somewhere and you were trying to describe the seeing someone, meeting someone, talking with someone, probably a coffee kind of thing.
Okay,
and then
yeah.
you use this phrase, which I haven't used recently. I don't remember the last time, but it comes back to my childhood. But you said this, that, and the other, and actually it's because I have cachet with this person. Da 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 da.
Oh.
Do you remember this? And so
Yeah, I don't use that word very often.
I know, and I thought that was funny because it's kind of a specific word.
Yeah.
It's a word that has a whole lot of meaning. And let me just help you now, listening audience. The word is C-A-C-H-E, cachet.
Good job.
And
C-A-C-H-E?
C-A-C-H-E, yeah.
C-A-C-H-E. Okay.
And so if you were to describe what cachet means, what would you say?
To me, cachet it's like a shorthand for they already know me.
Mm-hmm.
They've seen my work. We've been involved with each other. Do you know those people in your life where you could, like, if I called someone right now and be like, hey, could you donate $1,000 to this cause we're doing fundraising for at school?
Yeah.
And they'd be like, who are you?
Right.
But there are people I have cachet with, which is sort of like a reputation or an involvement.
Yes.
Is that how you would describe it?
Yeah,
I could
I
call
think so.
somebody that I know. It makes it a lot quicker. Hey, you know me.
Technically, it's like a back supply of something. Sometimes it's a
Yes.
secretive thing, like like you might have a cachet of weapons. Or
I guess really probably positive experience with somebody.
So you have earned a certain capital with somebody.
That's right.
And they know you.
It
and
is
you have
earned.
this back supply, this back thing that says, okay, I have cachet with you, which kind of gives you some spending capital with somebody.
Yes.
And sometimes that spending capital is trust and confidence, and sometimes it's being able to call on someone for something.
Mm-hmm.
In a more modern parlance, the word cachet.
Aren't you fonts today, Mr. Parlons?
Cachet is involved in like how we use computers. So it's the same kind of thing. It's kind of a stored knowledge
Does
or
it
stored.
mean cash or capital? Is the Latin term like no? It doesn't. But I mean, you say cachet, like you said.
Yeah, it can sometimes mean like a bulk supply of something, usually a treasure or something good.
Okay.
You know, like if you had a cachet of gold or if you had a cachet of weapons or you know, whatever that is.
That's not good.
It's not good, but you know, for somebody it would probably be good. I can just listening audience. Let me, I have a cachet with you of trust. I hope by now. So let me just tell you. Sometimes I will look up things to make sure that my working definition is the same working definition that most people are working through. So it's
good since you're a writer.
And then if you then I think, okay, well, we're constantly running into things with Evangeline. Like I will say something, and she goes, "That's not what that word means now." And I'm thinking, no, that's not what your word means now. Because like for a long, like the whole thing about the word demure has taken a whole other meaning and really has nothing to do with the meaning that we have all grown up with. And also have had for the last 250 years.
Yeah.
Suddenly, on a dime in the pop culture, that word takes on a whole other meaning.
Like,
and something
isn't that what that
and
means?
so I thought, I wonder what cachet means now. So you can go to places where you can look it up in modern dictionaries or urban dictionaries.
Did you look it up?
Do not do that.
Why?
Because the rabbit hole you will go down on cachet and what it looks like.
Why?
I don't know. It
But
has
now I want to
it
do
went
it.
to everything from pot and like
What?
if you smoke a joint.
What?
Is that what the kids call it now? A joint? If you could smoke a joint down to like the ashes, the nubs, that's cachet. That's a whole funny thing. Like you've spent the whole joint.
So speaking of weird words like that, like, you know, the children
of the world,
use the word low key.
Nonstop. And it is like
and the funny thing is, like, they're not low key about it at all. They're using it and it's really like a non-word.
A multitude of
It doesn't mean like low key means like chill, like just kind of. So I guess does it sort of mean that?
It is.
They'll be like, I low key love him. Does that mean like I love him, but I'm going to be real chill about it?
I don't know, because occasionally someone will use it as the noun and verb in one sentence.
Yes,
they'll say, oh, low key. And I'm like, what does that mean? Like, you can't know.
Well,
it's not.
We asked Evangeline. She doesn't. I mean, no one can
really
find
knows.
it. They just
because you can just throw it in like salt and pepper on everything.
Yes.
And then somehow pepper is the main meal too. What does this mean?
I was actually listening to a podcast of something. It was like spiritual in nature, and the guy talking tried to use low key. I would be like, I don't know.
Don't do it.
I don't think that's it. So
anyway, cachet.
Also, if they say unpack, we're going to unpack this one more time. I'm like, no.
I'm glad that one's moving on.
Let's
Let's unpack that for a second.
Just low key hate that word.
Yeah. So this phrase, cachet, and what's funny about it is it has all these different meanings, all these different ramifications, and especially even in our current scenario. So I want to go through, first of all, this idea of cachet. So this thing about the fact that you build up this backlog of presence and information and knowledge with someone that you can kind of call on or bank on for them, in a sense, to trust you with this thing. So you can say, I have cachet with this person. Yeah. Sometimes it can also be meant to say that if that person has cachet, it's kind of like they've got swagger, or they've got style, or they've got, this kind of thing.
It's even a little different, I feel like, than the word rapport. When you say have a good rapport with them, that means like we relate and we have we can chat and have an understanding. But cachet is earned.
Yeah. So having people so who would you say in your life has cachet with you? Who's earned that cachet with you?
Some people that could call and ask me for something right away. Yeah. Is that you want to name them?
Well, you can. Just give some examples.
Just kidding. For me, if somebody has cachet with me, I respect them.
Right.
So I've probably seen their work. So if someone, a lot of times that'll come if you serve on a group or a board, or you volunteer with someone, or you've done a project with them.
Right.
So you've observed. For me, if somebody has cachet with me, they're faithful in what they say they're going to do.
Right.
They probably treat people well. They have kind of a breadth. Their life maybe isn't just one dimensional. They're maybe involved in a few different things.
Yes.
And so to me, cachet is, it's respect. I've seen your work. Yeah. You don't need to convince me. I'm happy to help you.
Yeah.
What does it mean for you?
I feel like cachet works on a couple of levels. Like there is a trust cachet I have, and I have it at different levels. Like not everybody has, I have a lot of people who have cachet in my life. Not everybody has this cachet at the same level. So there are some people that I would essentially trust with my emotional or spiritual or physical life. Like you and I have a cachet. We have a long-term history, and we know each other, have a back history with each other, and a lot of trust that we've built up over being married these 32 years.
I should hope.
So that's a backlog of cachet. Not every married couple has that, and sometimes for good reason. And then I have probably, normally beyond that, there's maybe, 5 or 6 individuals that you can say they're kind of in this upper tier where you just feel like you could tell them pretty much just anything.
Yeah.
And know that it wouldn't go anywhere. Know that that's a trustworthy thing. We talked like 100 episodes ago, we talked about this concept of being a safe place for someone and the way that works. That takes a certain level of cachet to earn the right to be someone's safe place.
Yeah.
And then there are, people who have cachet on a more practical level where they're a part of your life and you're a part of their life. Like we've had a lot of people who have earned cachet with us by helping us volunteer to be at to do X, Y, or Z.
Yes.
So our Dreamers Do group, when we did a farmers market, all those years ago, there were a lot of people that banded together with us and made that thing happen.
Yeah.
And if one of them were to call me and say, I could really use help
Yeah.
moving this person or doing this thing.
You might not want to go, but you
But there's
will.
a cachet there that kind of says, oh, okay, well, I've done this for them. They've done this. We all understand that these physical things have to get done.
Yeah.
And we've shared in this before, so I will go and help them with X, Y, or Z. I have a band of friends that I have that kind of cachet with. So if they have a significant project at their house, this friend of mine, Brian, is getting ready to do concrete. I've helped him with that before. He's got another project coming up like that. He's helped me with a dozen other things. So there's a cachet there that says, okay, well, now we'll reciprocate this. And
Yeah.
so I find that part, it kind of works on that same level.
But it is you're right. It is on different levels. Like there are some people that you have emotional cachet with, or people that you really would trust with your secrets.
Yes.
To really, I think those people that love you unconditionally probably have the highest cachet. And then there's sort of professional cachet, or like people that you work with, whether that's serving in the community or colleagues in business, or that you.
That's an interesting concept.
Together.
Yeah, that's an interesting concept, because that cachet is can be more or less location specific.
Okay.
Like if you work in a corporate office and you've been with someone 3, 4, 5, 6 years, and you have this professional working relationship together, and you have built this cachet. They're good for their word. If they say they're going to be there, they're going to be there. They're going to say they're going to have the report done on time. They're going to have the report done on time. They're going to order X, Y, or Z. And yet your cachet is really only good in that environment. You know what I mean?
You can't necessarily be like,
if I saw them at Lowe's on the weekend, I couldn't cash in my work cachet at Lowe's.
Yeah, you could be like, hey, listen, I'm getting ready to build this thing. Can you come hold the boards for me today?
Can you help me load this in my truck right now?
That's right.
Most of people would not say that.
And the same with your guys, where you guys, help each other on your manly projects or whatever it is you guys do. Yeah. I mean, if you're in a professional situation, you're not going to call on one of them to come over and proofread your new book.
Exactly. Or be in a video, or that kind of stuff. It's funny. So this concept of cachet is not necessarily unilateral or universal, or that does have some specifics to it sometimes. There are some people I have cachet with, and it doesn't matter where I am or what I'm doing.
That's true.
I could call on them, and that would be that.
And they would do that.
And I could even say, I can't answer any questions about this. Could you just do it? And they would do it, because but that's using a lot of that cachet.
Yeah.
I think that what's interesting about that from a dreamer's perspective, and and how we live our lives intentionally, is this idea of it is our goal, whether we recognize it or not, to build that cachet with pretty much everyone we come in contact with. Yeah. And even in Dreamers and on our Dreamers Live events, it's taken for us, the better part of 3 years to build up that cachet with a lot of the people, because you're doing something that's hard to describe. You're doing something that isn't what everybody else is doing. And people are tentative about it, a little suspicious about it. So it has taken repeated contact over a couple of years to say, we can be trusted, and we're not going to bait and switch you. And all that
and
kind of
that you have cachet with people when they're willing to bring a friend.
Yes,
that's it. Because and even a close friend. So that's what happens is they've been around enough. They've seen our work.
Right.
They agree with what we're doing. We connect that way, and they feel comfortable enough that they could bring somebody and say, "Hey, you're really going to like this. Come with us." But you've got to earn that.
We have a friend, Renee. Mm-hmm. Who is not like this now, but when we first met her, was a bit like the shy dog. When you try and make friends with a dog, and the dog is very tentative, and they don't know.
She's like a mysterious squirrel. She's really cool artist.
So the first and the only reason she came to Dreamers at all was because someone else that she really respects was there.
Our good friend, the late Morris McCorvey, the poet and teacher.
Still miss him and thought about him today.
Yeah. And she only came because she had cachet.
Yeah, because
he had cachet with her.
Because Morris had cachet with her.
Yeah, exactly.
And we were associated with Morris. We kind of capitalized on Morris's cachet.
Yeah. So she said, well, if Morris is there, there must be something worth. Yeah.
And she came 2, 3, 4 times
before she ever spoke to us.
And then finally, at some moment, I think we had also invited her to a book club. And then suddenly that cachet built up enough that she started having conversation. She started participating.
Yes.
She was no longer spectating or simply attending. Now she was part of a community and participating in that. And that was cachet kind of coming to fruition in that way.
Yes. That's a really good way to put it. But I think do you agree with me on this? Unlike a rapport, which can just be a connection with someone, a positive connection or good, positive, good interactions that you have, I think cachet takes time.
Yes.
And I think it has to be earned.
Yeah.
And it can probably be lost.
Yeah.
If you think about it that way. But the people that have cachet with me, and hopefully vice versa, in whatever setting it may be, if it's professional or community volunteers or with dreamers or friends, it's because we've done some things together over time. Right. And we've had interactions and I've seen the way they operate.
Yes.
And so because of that, I'm willing to trust them.
Right.
And so therein lies the question, how do we earn cachet with people? Right. What can we do? What do you think?
Well, I do.
Did I stump you?
No, I do think about that a lot. I mean, it's funny because the way our lives are built and the way we're living them, we have a lot of contact with people. We also have a lot of potential contact with people. Mm-hmm. So, for example, we do Dreamers events. A lot of people come to Dreamers events over a year, mm-hmm. not always at one time. I mean, our group is always kind of steadily around 30 or 40 people when we do live events. Mm-hmm. But who those 30 or 40 people are changes a lot mm-hmm. from time to time. And so you never know who's going to show up at a Dreamers event. So when we meet people, especially in our community, that kind of goes in the back of my mind. I think, okay, I want to treat this person with respect. I want to treat this person with kindness, because that's literally just the right thing to do.
Yeah.
But also because there may be a time where they show up and I don't want to disqualify Dreamers for them or the experience of meeting people because I was a jackweed at some point when I met them. You know what I mean? And the same thing is true. Like you and I, Dreamers is not a spiritual thing, but we happen to go to a pretty progressive church called Friday Night Church. And over the, 30 plus year history of mm-hmm. that venue, that community, a ton of people have come in and coming in and coming out.
Yeah.
And think of the same kind of thing. Like what happens if they show up and all they know is that when they met me, I seemed really disingenuous or I seemed really whatever. So that kind of thing factors into my brain a lot. But then I just think about living your life like you're trying to build cachet with every person you meet.
Sure. But not in the sense that cachet as in something that you're hoping to cash in.
No.
You're doing it because that's the way you want to treat people.
Right. Yeah, because it's literally the right thing to do.
Yeah, you want to be that person that people could rely on.
But if you're treating them in some regard mm-hmm. At that value of that person, like your brother quoted somebody the other day who was saying, I want to treat every person as if they were a rock star.
Yeah.
And so when you do that, the side benefit of that is, you make a lot of friends because people like to feel regarded. They like to feel respected. They want to be mm-hmm. seen. So that has a tremendous value to it, but it gives you this starting place of, I'm going to treat this person like they're really important to me, even if I'm just meeting them right now. Yeah. And, it's not at all a big deal. I had to go coffee with somebody today.
Yes.
Met them early. Yes.
And met them early. Early enough that you said, I'll see you later. I'm going to go to coffee with these people. I was like, tell them I said hi.
And someone I didn't know was there getting a to-go order for their coffee, and they ended up with like 2 or 3 of the little styrofoam trays of drinks.
Oh, wow.
Much more than any one person could handle. Mm-hmm. And so I was waiting on my group, and so then I said, let me help. I can help you. I can help.
Yeah.
Which is a great way to start everything you say.
What can I do to help?
I can help. And so I sat my thing down my coffee down, and I picked the tray. I walked across the parking lot, put all that stuff in their car, and it really surprised them.
Really?
But it also stopped them from having to make multiple trips and probably slow their morning down and do all that kind of stuff. And it just made their day easier.
Yeah.
And I thought, so cool. I'll probably never see that person again.
Yeah.
They don't know who I am.
But if you do, you might have some cachet with it.
But, well, yeah, okay, so.
That wasn't your motivation.
100 years ago, we were starting our video production company at the time, a Pioneer Dream, and we needed equipment that we could rent. We didn't have equipment of our own at that moment, and we needed to rent equipment. And I went to...
And we were broke, and it was very expensive. Yeah.
And I went to the director of video services at Phillips Petroleum Company, who, because of the size of that company and what they were doing, had the state-of-the-art equipment.
Yeah,
and
they
it was
really
really,
did.
really great equipment.
Yeah.
So I went to meet with them to see if there's any way we could rent this. And it turned out that the gentleman who owned, or who was running that, the director of that communications department was Ron Stanley.
Yeah.
And I had kind of grown up with him. We kind of went to the same church 100 years ago, St. James Community Church. Shout out St. James.
Shout out to St. James.
And he said, we don't rent equipment, but I know you. And he says, and I remember you as a kid coming up in this church. I watched the way you interacted with other people.
Interesting.
And because of that, I trust you to do this thing and to do that. And so I had some built-in cachet with him that went well. And we never know when we're building up that. And again, like you say, that's not the motivation.
No, it wasn't like you were, as a teenager
I
thinking,
sure hope this pays off.
I'm going to treat people well so that I can do this later.
But you can do a negative and a positive cachet, and we are so often building that when we don't know.
Yes.
And you can probably think of someone right now that maybe you have a relationship or don't have a relationship with that still has negative cachet with you because you've seen the way they treat other people. You've seen the way they treat their spouse or their family or people in the store, when they're just so caustic or nasty or mean or arrogant or self-absorbed.
Yeah.
And that builds up this negative cachet that would really make it difficult for you to trust them with something, have a relationship with them or whatever. And so the idea of living in such a way as to build positive cachet with every person you have an encounter with. So there will be people that, especially in service industries, especially in restaurants or stores or whatever, that are going to do you wrong. You know what I mean?
Sure.
There's a time and a place where someone at a restaurant just behaves poorly and they bring you the wrong food and they don't handle things well, or they'll do the same thing at a store and they deliver the wrong thing, or it's got the scratching and all that stuff. And there's a thing in us that says, now this is the time you should go off. This is the time when you should be mean. This is the time when you should throw your weight around or whatever. And I have, A, never found that to be a positive.
Yeah.
But B, that is never the end of that relationship or scenario. You will most likely come in contact with that person again.
Yeah, definitely.
And if your cachet with them is the time you went ape shit on them because you were angry or mean or whatever, there are ways to get where you need to be.
Yeah.
And there are places you need to be on those scenarios, but without destroying relationships in the process.
Yeah. Two things about that. Good cachet with someone does have to be earned. It's never to be our motivation,
right?
But it is earned over time, the breadth of your work, but it can be lost real quickly.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Right? You have somebody you've seen and then just something happens and their life tanks. It doesn't mean that you don't still love them or think that they're a decent human, but your cachet, which is earned trust, can be wiped to zero pretty fast.
Yeah.
And that's why, we try our best to not let that happen. But I've also, cachet can be earned or released immediately. I had one situation where I had someone that I probably respected. I was in a meeting with them. This was a long time ago. And I had an encounter with them that I really honestly couldn't believe. This person was involved in the community and it was just quick, just the way they responded to it and treated me. I was just like, whoa, my gosh. I thought, so the cachet.
Who was it?
I'm not going to say it was you.
Right.
No, but so really all that earned respect that I had for them in one incident. Doesn't mean I wasn't going to treat them kindly or do the right thing, but it was gone.
Yeah.
Later that day, so we're at zero. That person called me and said, I am so sorry. I cannot believe the way that I handled that.
Oh, right.
That was so wrong. Would you forgive me? I wasn't waiting for that. I never expected that to happen. What happens? Cachet back up with a little higher.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, because that's earned respect to be able to humble yourself when you've shit your pants, as we say, or shat your pants. I apologize. Right. It takes even more than to be able to apologize takes even more guts.
Yes.
And that was incredible. So restored. So we're not saying like you've got to be perfect. That's not it. The point is it's how you treat people at the end of the day, living intentionally, which is what we try to do, how to be better humans a little bit.
Yeah.
People are watching that stuff, right. And it's affecting your life every day.
So that reminds me of this other more prominent use of cachet now. And how it kind of reflects in this conversation. So now on every computer we have, especially online, there's cachet.
What do you mean?
It is your computer saving responses and information and storing that.
So creepy.
Well, actually, so beneficial. That's the way it's supposed to work. So this is a storing information. So when you go on and you say, these are the top 10 websites I go to all the time, it stores that. And when you say, this is my password for Facebook, you don't have to enter that every time because the cache is saying, oh, this is Anjanette and this is her password. And I just automatically fill that in.
I do like
and
that feature. This.
And then sometimes when you go pay things online, and so all it is doing is storing information that you can draw from, cache. Occasionally, something goes awry. Either the cache segment of your computer gets too full, or there's an issue, and in that way, you have to, or the cache becomes outdated. Like it wants to continue to put in memories or passwords or things you are no longer using. And so you are required then at that moment to go and erase, delete your cache. So you empty your cache, which I think is such an amazing concept because we do have some relationships with people that in the past you know, maybe you knew them in a different lifetime, you know, in terms of like 5 or 10 years ago or whatever. Sure. And in that way, they had this negative cachet with you.
Yes.
They were in a different place in life and this, that, and the other. And there's a moment when you meet them again now 5 or 10 years later, and you have to decide, should I delete the cachet I have with this person and essentially let them start over?
Yeah, definitely.
And, you know, there is a place, like you said, that, you know, this thing about, there are places that erase that cache for you. But then this thing about, I'm walking into this life circumstances. So the same thing can work with scenarios. I always approach this scenario this way. Mm-hmm. I always approach decisions this way. I always approach conflict with my spouse this way. That's your cache. That's your operating system.
Yeah.
And are there moments where we need to start again and say, oh, I'm going to delete this cache because I would like to approach this decision about this opportunity, this job, this place in my life in a different way than I have before. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to make a conscious decision to erase my cache.
The past experience.
The past experiences or my past operating system. Like, so for example, if I have to make a decision about a job opportunity comes up. Okay. And normally when I get into a scenario like that, cache kicks in and I do these 5 things. I freak out. I shop this around, whatever it is, all those kind of things. But here's a moment where I'm recognizing I'm getting ready to fill out these forms again. Do I want to do a different cache? Do I want to erase that cache and start fresh and maybe not do it the way I've done it every time before? And if there's an awareness to that, a grace for that in that moment, then you can say, yeah, normally when I'm considering a relationship, I get really freaked out and I just quit talking to this person after the second visit.
Yeah.
Or if you're interested in dating someone, you kind of get into a panic mode about people getting into your business or people getting too close emotionally, and you say, nope, I'm going to cut you off now. Yeah. No, so this time I'm not going to do that. Doesn't mean we're going to get married. Doesn't mean we're going to do all that stuff. Yeah. But I'm going to cleanse that cachet now.
Yeah, that's interesting.
You know,
It's a different
or-
use. So
yeah.
this is part of the rabbit hole you went down. There's all these different.
Yeah, so the idea that, I mean, and in a lot of ways, I'm envious of the physical world because there are places in my life and places with people where it's difficult to get rid of that cachet with them.
Yeah.
And I wish I could. And it can if you're really thoughtful about it over time. But giving people that opportunity to erase their cachet with you.
Yes.
And not try to see them in that same way you've always seen them.
Well, have you ever been in a position where you had to re-earn that from someone? I have. And that's why I said that.
Okay. Why don't you tell me? Let me ask you a question.
That's like
Hi, Anjanette. Have you ever been in a place where you've had to re-earn that cachet with
That's
somebody?
like when you see someone, you're having a conversation, you see them, they're like, how was your summer? Because mine sucked. And then they just go right into like, you don't get a chance to. That's pretty funny.
Hey, do you have an example of a time when you've had to re-earn someone's cachet?
Thanks. It's interesting that you asked.
so insightful.
I do, but it is like you can tell that for some reason, and it may not have even been your fault, but some experience in this person's mind has erased the good work that you had done with them. And you have to re-earn cachet over time. So for me, I had this one particular person in mind that we'd been friends with a long time ago. Something got stuck in their craw as we speak. And since I know that I'm a fallible human, I probably had something to do with that. Ruined my cachet with them.
Right.
And so I loved that person enough that I wanted to try to rebuild that. So slowly I would do things. This was a friendship for me. So I would send them something on their birthday.
Oh, yeah.
Or if I saw something that I thought of made me think of them, I would drop it at their office.
Yes.
Occasionally I would just send an email.
Right.
And then anytime I saw that person, I would try to say positive things and encouraging things. And it took a few years.
Yes.
But they finally let me back in.
Yeah, that's
and
amazing.
that person was worth that to me.
Yeah.
But it took some time. It's like the breadth of work I had to re-earn. And let us be somebody who lets people off a little easier.
Well, it's so interesting the way you see that. You know, I think, you know, you and I have talked about a handful of people that we don't have that much relationship with, but it seems like they have prescribed a cachet for us from some other thing they've kind of built. So
Like
we
their
don't
own
know.
perspective?
Yeah, so they have kind of defined a cachet for me or for us.
Okay.
Even though we don't really have a working history together. So they probably know us from something. They presume some things about us or about me.
Okay.
Maybe the, you know, like because I tend to be a little bit quiet in certain circles and something like that, I can come over a certain way.
Okay.
So, which is not a positive way. So if you were to see me and I was kind of lost in my thoughts or lost in this and that kind of thing, or was insecure in a moment, that might make you presume that I am a jackweed or whatever.
Sometimes cachet probably could be based on assumptions. If
Right.
you see somebody, so we have to do whatever we
people
can to
the-
break that
yeah,
down.
right.
Don't give them the chance to let that happen. That
Yes.
happened to me at the meeting I was at today, which is a good meeting. It's just different people's operating systems.
Right.
And so even though people aren't really good at talking or chatting at this particular set of meetings, I waited afterwards and made everyone talk to me.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, because we're going to be working together this year. And then as soon as I do that,
Yeah.
they open up.
Right.
But, you know, that has to be re-earned, I feel like, every time.
Well, and it's this thing about emptying cachet is an interesting conversation. Like, you know, last time on our last episode, where we talked about kind of navigating transition seasons. Okay, so this is something that's new, that's happening. You can feel that some part of your life is kind of, you know, some kind of experience, some kind of involvement
Is winding down.
Yes. And you are looking at where am I going to next? And that can really be uncomfortable for a lot of us in a lot of different ways. This transition season. And if we're not careful, when we get into that transition season, we can take this cachet with us and we can say, well, this never works, or this is the way it always is, or this is what my lot in life is, or this is my struggle, or this is whatever. And we can take that cachet into that new thing. But if we're also aware, we could say, what if I what if I didn't do that?
I wiped the hard drive clean.
What if I wipe this cache?
Yeah, negative cache.
So when I go into the situation, I can say, oh, well, this is what this is supposed to feel like. Like when I train with your dad on some running stuff a long time ago, and we would do this. And
Back in the day?
And we would, yes. And we would run hills and all that kind of stuff. And it obviously is a struggle. It's a hill. And and then he would.
My dad's favorite running phase.
Yeah, then he would look at me and he would say, it's supposed to hurt.
It's supposed to hurt.
This is supposed to hurt right here.
Yeah, that's right.
So yes, it's uncomfortable, but it's supposed to be. Yes, it is an unknown, and it doesn't have the comforts of boundaries. In this season, this season of transition didn't have the comfort of saying, "Oh, this is what I do, and this is who I am, and this is what I transact."
Yeah,
it didn't have that comfort of those boundaries, but it's supposed to feel awkward.
Yeah,
and that's also what makes it kind of exhilarating. And if you give something the opportunity to be a fresh start, if you give something the opportunity to be a new beginning, if you give it the opportunity to be even invigorating as something that's uncomfortable, like you and I get the opportunity to travel a lot, and there's a lot about traveling that's inconvenient and uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But it's also the moment where you get to see things and do things and experience things and all that stuff. So you embrace a certain of that discomfort or a certain of that unknown or a certain of that travel in order for
the
So
new
what
experience.
happens if you say, well, this new opportunity doesn't have to be like all the other opportunities. Mm-hmm. There is the opportunity for something new to happen here. And so I can wipe this cache free and I can go and do that.
Yeah.
When we go to see family over the holiday, there's a good chance that someone's going to be kind of who they are, but
that last time this happened
right.
or that.
But I can take the opportunity to kind of wipe some of that cache
and
free,
just say I'm going to act like that didn't happen
because people can feel that on us. We have family, and because they have behaved poorly in these circumstances. You're kind of gearing up for the next landmine.
I think that happens to everybody. Yeah. And they're probably prepping to see us.
But they can also feel that when you get there, when you're carrying that anxiety, when you're carrying that lowbrow hostility.
You mean low-key hostility?
Low-key. And that's the actual use of low-key.
Yeah, there you go.
They can feel that vibe. So to the best of our ability, when we can walk in and kind of wipe that cache free, wipe that cache clean.
Yeah.
And not carrying that hostility, not carrying in that undercurrent of energy, then that can help set them at ease.
Yeah.
And so whether it's this, transition moment in our lives, I really love this thing because that's where we are right now. You and I are in a weird transition season where some things that we've done for 30 plus years, that seems to be kind of transitioning out.
Right. And we're trying to figure out what the next
But what happens if instead of saying, oh, frustration or this is whatever.
This always happens.
What if you said, what could be next? What might this be? This is, if I'm wiping this clean, I'm not autofilling all the little blanks in this application, then what could this be? What might this be? Where might this go? And maybe in not approaching it in the exact same way every time and carrying in the exact same weight and burdens every time, then maybe we give it the opportunity to be something else, Well,
and maybe in dealing with people, a good way to look at it, because I do kind of see this whole concept as positive and negative in that maybe we should be quick to earn positive cachet with people, not looking for something back, but quick to be that person that they can rely on. That's always going to be encouraging, where they have seen the breadth of our work and they can rely on us. And maybe also, in the same sense, when people have negative cachet with us, whether that's a mistake they made or whatever that may be, or a bad experience, maybe we're quick to let them out of it.
Yeah.
We're quick to wipe it clean for them,
yeah.
to erase it. So maybe it's we're quick in our action to try and earn that respect and love from people.
Yeah.
That we should treat people like rock stars. And then when people haven't done that toward us, maybe we're the ones who are quick to give them that other chance.
Yeah.
To rebuild it in a different way.
Yeah, and I think there's obviously wisdom involved in all that stuff, and so the emotional cachet, that's a thing that can be, especially if we're kind of secure inside, that's something that we can wipe clean. That doesn't mean that if someone's defaulted on a loan with you 4 times, you
or you've been in like an abusive situation. Right. Absolutely not.
But there's a wisdom that's implied in there. But at the same time, as much as it's possible, so there's a difference between our expectation with them and then a wisdom with them. We can do that. We can wipe that clean, and we can give that person. And most people will feed off that. They feed off of whatever we are radiating. So if we're radiating suspicion, that's what they feed off and respond to.
They feel suspicious.
If we're radiating hostility and anger and turmoil, well, that's how they respond.
Yeah.
That's why it takes us so much restraint to not do that to other people when we feel that from them.
Yeah, absolutely.
So when someone goes Karen on us or they get angry with us or whatever, the idea of staying calm, the idea of speaking softly, the idea of being respectful, the idea of not letting that go, that's important.
Yeah.
To redirect that conversation.
Yeah, I like it. It definitely makes you think of the fact when we talk about how to human better, that whether we realize it or not, when we go out into the world with people and whatever we're doing in the day, school, work, volunteering, people are watching and they are experiencing what we're giving, whatever that is.
We're building cachet with people,
whether we want to or not.
Even when we're not in direct communication with us. When they see how we respond to other people, when they see us 2 bistro tables down, that notices, and people see that. And you and I have become aware of that, because we're celebrities and we know that people are always watching.
Stop! You are killing me right now.
But we have become aware that thing matters. The cachet that we have with our daughter, that matters.
Yeah.
The cachet we have with people in the community, that matters. And that cachet is, at various intimacy levels and all that kind of stuff. But the cachet is there, and we're building it all the time. And
what would you say to encourage people that are listening to help them build positive cachet with people? What are some things that you think we can do?
I love the 2 points you've made, which I think are so important.
Well, thank you.
Which is one,
I made notes.
Let's live as if we were building cachet in every connection we have.
Yeah.
Because we are.
And it doesn't take any longer, by the way.
No.
It doesn't take any longer to treat people with kindness than it does
to respond with kindness or respond with respect.
What did that cost you? 20 seconds today to take that coffee out?
Yeah.
And that person felt better and you felt better.
Right.
Right?
And then the idea of being able to wipe cachet, I think that part is amazing too.
I like that idea.
And what's interesting about it is when we choose to wipe the negative cachet that someone has built up in our minds, we're the ones that end up being free.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
It stops tormenting us.
So true.
And then it gives them a chance to rebuild that relationship in the right way.
Yeah.
And so your idea of having enough self-awareness to say, oh, I may have built negative cachet here. Mm-hmm. How can I make that right?
And a lot of times you may not have even meant to.
Right.
You may not have even realized that what you were doing was affecting someone else negatively. That's, as humans, we're all often hurting each other without even realizing it.
Yes.
So what can we do to rebuild that? And oftentimes I feel like it's small interactions, small encouragements.
But, what we've learned is that somehow even making amends or apologizing or doing those kind of things, what's so amazing about that is it builds a greater trust and a greater intimacy than as if we had never made that mistake to begin with.
So true. I mean, that is so true.
It's bizarre. So the fact that person
humbled
themselves and came back and apologized to you, that built more cachet with you than as if they had handled the
I am
perfectly.
glad that he made that mistake because I got to see what was really in that person's heart, which is I am human. I got angry. I messed up. I did this. I thought about it.
Yeah.
I knew it was wrong. And I came back and said, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like cachet high.
Right.
I mean, because that's character.
Yeah.
So
that can become an even bigger opportunity than if we'd gotten everything perfect the first time.
I saw a side of that person, a closeness that was kind of an emotional intimacy. When someone's willing to admit that they're wrong, they have to be vulnerable.
Yes.
And so I'm glad that happened.
Right.
Because I saw that side of what's really and truly in their heart. Mm-hmm. It's pretty cool. So I'm not saying go out and make mistakes, but if you do, when I do later today. It just shows
that there's hope even in those mistakes, even in that
How
stuff.
often do we apologize at our house? I feel like I'm apologizing many times a day. Yeah. And it's better that way.
Yes, absolutely.
You have a lot of cachet with me. Just want you to know.
Oh, thanks.
I kind of feel like we've said that word like 9,000 times.
Well, we're getting paid royalties for each time we used it, so. And I think we have
Cachet.com.
I think we have cachet with you, dreamers, because you're still here and you're listening, and that means the world to us. We love having these conversations with you. We hope that because we have cachet with you, that you will like and subscribe to the podcast, but that
Please
you
share
will
it to a friend.
Take that moment right now. There's somebody who would be a part of this conversation that you could really enjoy it with. Mm-hmm. Send this to them and help us expand that audience and that conversation, because it's so much fun to have you guys around and do this.
It is.
And we'll find you on the streets and we'll talk more about all these things.
Yes, absolutely. Thanks for listening.
Yeah, so peace out.
Thanks for listening. We'd love it if you would like and subscribe to the podcast and then share it with the people you know. We want to include as many people as possible in the conversation. Also, be sure to check out our Got a Minute Mini podcast, which pairs funny stories with original music all in about 15 minutes. Thanks! This has been a production of Pioneer Dream.